All right, good evening, everyone. I just want to thank Najat, Sylvia, and Ryan for inviting me here to see you all today. It's very interesting for me to come and speak to the bright minds that we have in the room. So it's a really good opportunity for me to come and share Cisco's perspective on IoT and how we see how this will affect us all. So my name's Nat Lawrence. I'm an IT professional in Cisco IT. I've been there for 2 years. And I just want to impart on you the little that I've learned in my time at Cisco. So before we start, I just want to kind of reiterate to you the meaning and the impact that IoT will have on all of our lives. This is a big paradigm shift in regards to how the internet is expanding, the amount of things that will be connecting to the internet, and how this will eventually, and is also already changing the way in which we live, work, play, learn, interact with one another, and essentially do business. So the way that we consume services are all going to change, and it's going to be a really interesting time for you all to actually witness this and enjoy the benefits. So before we start, I just want to kind of highlight that the Internet of Things is a subset of what we at Cisco call digital transformation or digitization. And essentially this is the moving away from paper-based manual business practices to more electric and automated business process orchestration, for want of a better word. So this will enable businesses to be a lot more efficient, a lot more quicker. They can actually have a lot more valuable propositions for their go-to-market strategies. So IoT is more of a tool or a platform that we use for digitization to kind of bring industries and enterprises forward as we are moving into the future. Another interesting point to add to that is last year, our former CEO, John Chambers, and our current CEO, Chuck Robbins, they visited the UK's Cabinet Office to discuss with the Prime Minister about Cisco's $1 billion investment in digitization. So this goes to show the impact that this will have on us countrywide, if not globally. So what is the Internet of Things? It can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, right? It can be a bit confusing, but essentially it's just connecting the unconnected, bringing together people, processes and things to try to leverage the data of those three components so that we can use them more readily. We can actually get more value out of them. We can actually enjoy the data more because they're going to be more contextual for your individual use. So this is what it is in a nutshell. But also what we're seeing is a convergence of three different internetworks, if you will. So we have the information and communications based internet that we all know and love very well. You also have like a more energetic based internet. So this is more to do with the operational technologies that you see in the oil and gas industry, smart grid, as well as renewable energies. And these internetworks are also converging with another internetwork that we see, which is more based around logistics, enterprise manufacturing, supply chain, and things to do with just enterprise transportation. So as we see these three internetworks converge, they're beginning to form a kind of ecosystem or brain, as you will, that we essentially connect different hardware components to. So say, for example, we have small miniature devices that have compute on board, networking capabilities, and wireless sensor networks. So these can be actuators, Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, things of that nature. And essentially, these devices are pulling analog data from the material world and translating them into digital information that is passed onto the network. Now, the interesting part is the insights that we get from the analytics from this data is huge. It's bringing around new market opportunities for businesses. It's essentially giving us a new platform and a new way to envision the world. And this change has been estimated to bring value that is in the trillions. And we can actually go into that in a few more of the slides that I have yet to show you. So just to bring it back to a higher level, in a nutshell, the internet is connecting people, processes and things so that we can make more insightful decisions about what we want to do, where we want to go, how we want to do it, and how we interact with each other. So it's essentially changing the way in which we consume digital services. So this is just a quick slide just to kind of give a reference to different technologies and different market verticals that have already implemented Internet of Things solutions, and it's just helped them with various things like mitigating risk, helping them to move a lot quicker, minimizing cost, and just essentially enabling them to be more efficient in their market propositions. And this is across the board. It doesn't matter what market vertical or what industry you're in, the Internet of Things can benefit across the board. And this is a very interesting graph that shows that there's a prediction that the amount of devices that will be connected to the internet by 2020 will be around 50 billion. And that is essentially about 6 IP addressable devices per human being on the planet. Now, me myself, I've got a smartphone and a laptop. How many people in here have more than 3 IP addressable devices on them? Whether it's a Fitbit, a tablet, a smartphone, just a show of hands. So see what I mean? So these people with their hands raised, you're already in 2020 almost, you know? So this is where it's all going. It's not necessarily the devices that you're going to be carrying on your person, but you know, there's innovations in IoT to do with the medical industry, where people can have small devices that monitor their heart, monitor specific parts of their systems in their bodies, and transfer that information onto the internet so that different innovations and more intriguing insights can be made to actually help people in different industries. So this is really important. So these are the questions that no matter how big or small your business is, or what market vertical that you actually play in, these are going to be common questions that you're all going to want to ask. You want to know, how do you get digital? How do you roll out your services quickly? How do you mitigate risk? What's the security implications? Although all of these questions are common to all the different markets or companies out there, of course, the answers will be different. So I'd like to just give a little bit of an insight into what Cisco's answer would be. So this is Cisco's digital network architecture, DNA. And basically what it is, it's an architectural platform that we use to manage everything outside of our data center. So this can be used as a reference point for any kind of business that wants to digitize, that wants to move faster, and that wants to take advantage of the Internet of Things. So on the bottom layer here, we have virtualization platform. So essentially, no matter what business you are, you would normally have, you know, your HQ and a campus branch, a few branch offices, maybe a data center for your private cloud services. And traditionally, this is all kind of put together by having routers, switches, wireless access points, all of these different, you know, firewalls, all of these different hardware platforms that do individual jobs. But now, we need to move a lot quicker. We cannot configure these devices iteratively and manually like we have done in the past. So what we see now is these network service capabilities being kind of condensed down and instantiated in software so that they can be programmatically configured. This moves a lot quicker, this gives more flexibility, and this essentially enables us to move with the pace of the 50 billion devices that we say is going to hit the network. So if we just move further up, we have the automation piece here. And again, Cisco used to be proprietary back, you know, when we was coming up, but now we are embracing third-party software, integrating with open APIs so that developers like yourselves can interrogate these devices and essentially use programmatic ways to interrogate and to actually configure and provision the network. So all of the data that I mentioned before in regards to the devices that are hitting the Internet of Things, this is so much data, whereas before we didn't really know exactly how we can use it to contextualize the amount of information that we need for enterprises to make better decisions, as well as consumers to actually make more informed decisions about the different services that they want to consume. So this analytics part is essentially giving us deeper insights so that we can try our best to tailor the network and make it more efficient. And then at the very top, we have the cloud service management piece. So this is like a central brain of the network. This is like a central controller orchestration piece. So as I said before, for example, if you have a private data center, you have 100 switches that you need to upgrade the OS on for the latest business requirements. You know, in the days of old, you'd have to manually SSH or telnet onto each box, and this is a very long-winded process in order to do it one by one. With the orchestration piece, you just instantiate that config change in one place, and then the policy gets pushed across the network. So it enables businesses to actually move a lot quicker so that they can more deal with innovation rather than firefighting the administrative issues that we traditionally see in implementing and managing networks. Okay, and this is just a quick slide to kind of more speak to what the DNA does. So it just allows businesses to move a lot faster, giving them deeper insights and experiences. Also helps them to reduce cost because they're able to move to market quicker. The implementation drives are being driven down from months to days, sometimes even from months to minutes, depending upon what service it is that needs to change. And also just lowering risk and complexity for the businesses that employ this model. And again, this does look really similar because before it was the network priorities for digital transformation. These are the IT priorities. Now, in this new digital age that we're in, every company essentially needs to be a tech company because technology is the key agent of change that helps companies differentiate themselves from their competition. So we have to look at how the IT requirements or the business requirements feed into the network requirements, and these are becoming a lot more closely aligned as we move forward. Again, this slide just speaks to 3 core principles that any company that needs to or wants to become digital must address. So how can they transform their manual business processes? How can they move faster to market? How can they lower the total cost of ownership while improving their return on investment? How can they empower the workforce so that they are more able to deal with the things that matter to the company rather than the things that maintain the company? And also just personalizing the customer experience so that the customers can, I suppose, become more loyal because they're getting a good service. Why would they go anywhere else if they're getting such a tailor-made contextual experience? So I'm just going to go for a few use cases. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about smart cities where, you know, essentially if you're out and about in Spain or Barcelona somewhere and you don't really know where you want to go on public transport and you don't have data on your phone, for example. So it's very interesting for you to have maybe a Wi-Fi hotspot that you connect to at a particular bus stop to get some information in regards to where you're going, or maybe even like what you see these days here in the UK where you have the bus showing the notification of the schedule just so that you can make more time. You know, you can see whether or not you got enough time to pop into McDonald's or whatever the case may be while you're on your journey. But there's so many different use cases. I'm just going to go through a few. One interesting one is that poachers are essentially killing rhinos and elephants as we speak, like literally on a minute-by-minute basis. So imagine if there was Internet of Things type sensors that are connected to these animals that can essentially monitor their vital signs. So by the time one of these animals gets shot and goes down, this information is directly viewable on the actual management platform that the actual ranchers are using or the conservationists are using. And then they can essentially get quicker to the point of incident so that the poachers have less of a window to escape. So that can help conserve the animals that we have, that we're trying to keep. There's also other use cases in regards to UPS, for example. In the US, they work with Amazon and Audi. And essentially, they wanted to kind of, they have a partnership with Amazon where they return goods that are not satisfactory for the consumer. So a lot of times people have to take time out of work or get a relative to go to the house to kind of deal with returning these goods. But an interesting innovation that UPS used was essentially they piloted a kind of collect me service that they did with Audi and Amazon. So essentially the scenario is you've got something that you weren't really happy with from Amazon. And basically, rather than having to take time out of work or your daily schedule to go and return it, you could just literally put that package in your boot, and the IoT solution was basically integrated into the onboard computer of the Audi so that when the delivery comes, because you've already specified the time in which they're going to come to pick it up, they have the capability to open your boot for 30 seconds, come retrieve the package, close it back, and then they're on their way. So this is like staging to try to move forward to try and give a more better customer experience. Another interesting use case was with Louis Vuitton, and I believe Harrods are doing this also, where these stores are not really that concerned with how many people come into the store. It's more the dwelling time within the store. So what they did, they integrated RFID tags within their handbags. And this was piloted across 6 of their flagship stores globally. And basically, through the use of Cisco hyperlocation wireless technology, as well as these RFID tags, the consumer could get the bag, bring it to a video kiosk, and essentially that kiosk will give them contextual information about their purchase. So, you know, the story behind the bag, where it comes from, what the kind of leather it is, and basically giving them a more enriching experience to do with their purchase. And this proved really well because across the 6 stores, they was able to improve efficiency by 300%. And this is due to the Internet of Things and digital transformation. And a very simple one also with Starbucks. You know, a lot of people that I work with, they need Starbucks every day. This is how they work. And you know, if you had an application on your phone, I haven't seen the application myself, but to my knowledge, I can see that people can use the application to order their cappuccino or whatever the case may be before they actually get to the store. And then when they take the journey to the store, they no longer have to queue. They can just come and pick it up. So it's all done beforehand. And this can be kind of translated into many different industries. If you go to a particular retail store, you go to Clark's, or you know what fit you have in Marks and Spencer's and things of that nature, you can order these things beforehand, right? And you can pay for these things beforehand, go there, just collect it and move across. So these are just a little snapshot. I could go on, but this is just a quick insight into the different kind of use cases that the IoT can provide for consumers to get more insight and better experience out of their consumption of services. So with all the wonderful and great and lofty promises that the IoT brings to people, security is a huge, huge concern, because a lot of these third-party companies that are creating the hardware for the Internet of Things, security is like an afterthought. You know, at the moment there isn't a unified fabric that is standardized for all of these vendors to adhere to. So at the moment, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but there's been quite a few different breaches, denial of services attacks, Mirai botnets, you name it. It's actually replete on the internet in regards to how crucial it is that we secure these devices. And you know, a lot of the times you want to protect your devices from the outside, right? But a lot of these devices are being compromised from the inside so that they are making attacks out onto the internet. So it's like a two-way thing. And you know, companies like Cisco, standardization bodies like the IEEE, the IETF, you know, we need to come together to try to create some kind of unified, standardized platform for us to secure these devices. Because if you have things like driverless cars and you know, IoT innovations that deals with people's medical conditions, these just cannot get hacked because the implications are just staggering. So this is definitely one for you clever guys in the room to have a look at, potentially, if that's your interest. And yeah, just to close, I just want to appeal to you guys really, because you know, you're at a prestigious university, you're doing a really interesting course, some of you will be able to program. So just think about disrupting the market. Don't accept the way in which that you've been living, because things can change. You know, look at what Tesla has done to the automobile industry, Uber has done to transportation, and even to an extent what Amazon has done in cloud services. You know, you don't have to accept the way in which you've been brought up to believe things have to be. You can actually change it. And as we say in Cisco, you need to disrupt or be disrupted. So with that, I'd like to close. All right, thank you guys, thank you.